it hurts. And I'm too sexy for Milan, too sexy for Milan, New York and Japan.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, this week to this edition of Doing It with Styles. I'd like to thank you for the support that you guys show for the station and the show and all the other plethora of shows that we have here. Today, I've got a very special guest, and you know how I feel about veterans and Veterans Matters. And today, we have a woman that has quite a story to tell. Her name is Mindy Dougherty, right?
Yes.
Welcome, Mindy. Thank you for coming in
Thank you so
and,
much.
and agreeing to share your story.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, speak up just a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, because my hearing is shot.
No doubt. Mine probably is too.
Okay, good. So why don't you tell us your story? And I want to get into this a little bit, your
Sure.
book. Okay. So you're on.
My name is Mindy Dhy. I am the author of A Resilient Warrior. It's in over 17 countries. I was a combat medic, field medic in the Army from 1995 to 1999. Stationed in Germany, went to Bosnia, Croatia, and Hungary. Then came out of that and went to Colorado Springs. I led the base as the boss president, led over 20,000 soldiers, went to Washington, D.C. to help change the actual barracks and things that were going on for the voices of our soldiers so that they could get things such as our telephones. That nobody had phones in the rooms. We only had pay phones back then. And I was dating myself, but we don't have the rotaries anymore, but we do have the little change phones. And
Right.
so we could, there was a lot of people that were waiting in line to talk to their families. And
Yeah.
so I contacted the president of Sprint and I said, can we create a program where each soldier can talk to their family? So we ended up getting lines put into their rooms. So it was huge for that. And then I got out of the military, and unfortunately, through some battles, I had pancreatitis and appendicitis when I was in the military. So I battled that for 8 years, ended up having my pancreas taken out in 3 different sections. I've been in 3 comas. I've had 4 organs taken out: my pancreas, my gallbladder, my duodenum, and my appendix. So I am by default a diabetic and also now a Watsu practitioner. Throughout my injuries, basically, I learned how to rewalk, talk, and eat and swallow through different modalities and different therapies. And then I've written a children's book called A Dragon's Voice. And what that is it teaches children that whatever we do right now has an effect on other people. One portion of it was there was a dragon that blew up basically he fried all the flies and didn't realize that effect had such a profound effect on the frogs because now they have no food. So what
they
we
starved
do,
to death.
they starved to death.
Right.
So what I'm teaching them on a smaller basis is that what we do has a profound effect on not only us, but the community around us. And so what I did is I created Feed My City a long time ago when I thought I was dying. And what that is a concept of one seed, one plant, and one garden. And if I can feed myself, then I can feed others. And what that means is also we can teach our children to thrive with each other and give to our neighbors and have us establish a community-based food group. And so what I did is I used to grow fruit and ask my neighbors and community to give fruit and vegetables to the local food banks and stuff like that. And then the grocery stores chipped in and stuff like that.
And that kind of thing isn't taught in school anymore.
Unfortunately, it's not.
I mean, when I was a kid, when I was growing up, we had our own garden at the school.
Right.
They taught us how to grow plants and things like that. And it's a brilliant concept because if we just put a little effort into things like that, we wouldn't have some of the problems that we have.
Right. I actually spread it to the jails too, to decrease recidivism. The unfortunate thing is right when I got it accepted, COVID hit. So that kind of put a little, it dropped everything actually. Yeah. And so we're reworking different things, but Australia was actually the first country to kind of get into this concept. In Brisbane, I have a friend of mine named Steph Pascoe, and she wanted to start the concept.
I also have a friend in Brisbane.
Nice.
We need to talk after the show.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. And so she wanted to fill in on this concept. And then other people in Germany and Ireland, they started to feed into this concept. And they're like, what can I do in my community? And it's a concept. It's It's not an ownership thing. And unfortunately, somebody tried to, steal the ownership of it. And that wasn't the concept. The concept is it's free. And if I help myself, I help you thrive. And then we can also help our community, because I believe in a win-win society. We can actually encourage others to live their dreams. And by shining my light upon myself, I really get to let others shine their light too. And I think that unfortunately in the industry, or even in any industry, people struggle with, if my light's not shining, then nobody will see me. And I think that really, even with kids, that each individual, it's imperative that we show that they can shine their light on their own, but they can also share the light with other people.
Well, and by empowering other people, we're actually empowering ourselves.
Correct.
And so that's a great concept. So
yeah, and my friend is dying of cancer right now, and it's really imperative for me to understand that our cells basically are at a calm state, in a very balanced state. When we have anger, animosity, jealousy, and that resentment, what happens is we get cytotoxic cells that end up turning on our T cells and creates damage. And any of that inflammation can create more damage. And the inflammation process can turn on those T cells, which create cancer. And even if you've gotten certain objects and body parts taken off, cancer comes back because you haven't fixed the inner problem.
Right.
So what I really, really want to teach people and children is that if we really speak our inner voice and we really teach people how to live, that maybe we can thrive as a society and we're not taking from other people. Then we can grow from helping each other. And I believe that really the only reason I'm sustaining my life right now is a company called BioAccelerator. They're in Colombia right now, in Medellin. And I got stem cells put in my spinal cord, which is intrathecal, and then IV. And I'm a medical researcher, a trauma nurse, interventional radiology nurse. So it's been really, really interesting to be able to go from bedbound to wheelchair to now be able to walking and talking with you. And now living my dreams, doing this movie called Clown Motel 3, which I get to play a really crazy, harsh, nasty role, which I kind of almost scared myself the other day getting into it, and then I tried it out on some kids and they're like, that's scary. I said, I know it is scary. So just really bringing like a comedy portion to my life, because I've had so much indiscretion and unfortunately so much sexual violence that has started unfortunately with incest, that I also, with my next book called Wolf's Secret, I think it's really, really imperative that we teach our children how to have communication with not only the adults that are surrounding them, but even to try to seek help if their parents don't understand or don't believe them. Because unfortunately, kids aren't believed. They think, oh, you're just making up this story. You heard
well,
this
they don't want to
somewhere.
believe it.
That too, because
then they have to do something about it.
Sure.
Then there's some responsibility. And I don't mean all parents, but it's
a rough
fact.
subject,
Yeah.
And I can understand. My mom and I just recently had this conversation because I'm really working on my own issues with my own family members, that the lies, and the lies that the people tell themselves to believe, the hypocrisy is unwavering. And in my eyes, I can forgive my mom, and we're going to go on a different platform at this point with her, and I forgive her. However, I don't forget what she had done in not basically protecting me in a manner that she could have and should have.
Right.
When my grandmother had told her, when other people were telling her something's wrong, it was like, no, nothing's wrong with her. We don't believe in counseling,
Right.
It's like a taboo back in the 70s and 80s, and now I really encourage it. I really encourage water therapy, equine therapy, physical therapy, but mostly mental health therapy and spiritualization. And that doesn't mean any religion. It doesn't mean any politics. It's like, we just need to get back to the basics again.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do, is just get back to the basics.
Well, and I'm sure that these are the things that are covered in your book, right?
The basics of what happened in my life.
Right.
And then also the biggest thing in there is Feed My City. And I wrote my book basically because my grandmother had asked, and she passed away a year ago, and she read it on her birthday, and she's really proud of me. It's the biggest thing I've done in my lifetime for achievements. And it's mostly helping myself heal through the modalities that I have, but then also sharing with other people what I've done. Because I think in a space where there's so much depression and anxiety and suicidal ideation, that our veterans, police, firefighters, and first responders, they need an ounce of hope.
Yeah.
And that's what I had. And that's why I dedicated my book to a show called The Vikings on history, and Vikings Valhalla, which is in Netflix. And the main characters in there had really showed me the strength of a woman and the strength of a man that could be on their own fighting for our same cause, but then coming together as one to unite their people. And that is what the strength that brought me from being bedbound to wheelchair to, like, you know what, you gave me an ounce of hope and I made a pound out of it. And I really appreciate all of the people that are in that show. Even if you licked the air, so to say, the crew, the cast, and even the extras that people don't see, you know, it's imperative that we include everybody, because the extras really do, they have an imperative role in the films.
And it's interesting that you talk about that, because recently, well, I don't know, last 10, 15, 20 years, in England and Great Britain, a lot of the gravesite that they dug up from the Vikings, that there were a large number of female warriors.
Yes,
that you know, we never thought, you know,
correct.
women, you know.
And they hid the fact, because history, it's not great for history. It's not great for a man to know that a woman actually fought alongside them.
Yeah.
You know, but we've had this history of Vikings fighting along Vikings all along, and Americans seem to forget that history and they want to dodge that. And I want to bring that history back, because I am Viking, and it is in my bloodline. So I really want to prepare people too in the future to really see the value in themselves, so they can bring upon light upon other people and really shine their light so that other people can shine their light too.
Well, and that's part of the problem that we experience here, is that too many of us have that hooray for me and to hell with you attitude.
Correct.
You know, it's
All
like,
in it for me.
I've just started this campaign on Facebook, because I keep getting this, you know, well, you know, I'd rather see the veterans getting their money instead of the student loans being canceled, or, you know, stuff
Sure.
like that. And every time I see that, I've started this thing in big capital letters: we can do both.
We can do both.
And I'm just so sick and tired of that. You know, it's got to be one or the other. No, we have the capabilities. We just need the will to do these things.
Absolutely.
We have the wealth in this country. We have the talent.
The abundance of wealth that we're wasting
Yeah.
on things that are imperative,
Yeah.
that we should be teaching our children and educating our children to prosper in the dirt, get their hands in the dirt. And also, we really need to get back gym and recess. I think that adults have forgotten. Kids need a break. They need to get out. They
Music,
need to run.
exercise,
Music therapy,
sports,
art
all of that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's,
get them moving. You know, if they're sedentary, they're gonna get fat.
Yep.
You know, I know people don't like to talk about getting fat, but if you sit down too much, and you don't exercise, it's really bad for your cells, and that's what's also causing our cancer.
And it's also bad for your mental health as well.
Depression, anxiety, and then suicidal ideation.
Right.
And as a Watsu practitioner, I get people in the water, and it's about 100 to 101, and I do shiatsu massage, which is called Watsu, shiatsu in the water, Japanese style massage. And I help people with depression, anxiety, PTSD, multi-personalities, and then orthopedic issues like surgical issues, digestion issues, multiple issues that can actually sustain us and help us get through if we actually use the water as a shifting modality, because it shifts the energy within us. And by the end of my sessions, I've had people literally tell me that they're out of pain for a month. And to me, that's more satisfying than being on film and getting these accolades, some trophies and awards. Like, that's great. But for me, my heart is huge, and I want my soul to shine through.
Well, I mean, if you stop and think about it, this is mostly water.
Right.
75% of the planet is water.
Sure.
So, you know, it's got to be something there.
Right. And I'm not saying that fat is a bad thing either, because a lot of people are going to, you know, say, you know, I'm flat, I'm fluffy, I can't help it. It's not about that. It's just watching your diet.
Yeah.
And really movement. And even if you're bedbound, it's movement.
Well, and the other thing is too that it's hard for people today to eat healthy because the foods that are good for you and the healthy stuff is expensive.
$50 sometimes for something, and you go
And-
get a pie
and-
for $1.
And the junk food is all cheap,
Right.
you know?
Well, and it's made to kill you because the industry, unfortunately, and I was part of the problem and now I'm part of the solution. However, in the medical community, if we're making you sick, then we have a job to do,
Mhm.
right? Well, realizing with stem cell utilization and how this powerful medicine works, you're basically taking the umbilical cord of the stem cells, and it's nothing to do with the child or
Right.
itself. So let's make this very abundantly clear. You're using something that's being thrown away already,
Yep.
taking my blood, fusing it together into this magic medicine, basically, and it creates a de-inflammation process where basically it's a kind of a healing modality where your cells, it has memory cells. So it goes where it's needed. So if I have a brain injury, it's going to go into the brain. I had an injection in my feet that hurt. However, I'm walking now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's really nothing that somebody could tell me that would defy the odds because I only had 2 weeks to live, if that. And I lost 17 pounds within a week. It was just, I was going downhill. My friends told me I was looking gray. And then all of a sudden I come back and I have my friends that are combat veterans and they're like, you're not even ill anymore. Like, you can speak. I'm not stuttering. I can walk. I'm not falling on my face. When I was filming Bridge of the Dune, which is another zombie movie, I'd actually get help from each set that we were going to. So I was falling on my face on the rocks.
Wow.
It was not fun. It was very humbling. Very humbled. I've eaten much humble pie in my days.
Yeah, and it doesn't taste that good.
No, I don't really like it. And I've learned that the heat here it's pretty hot. So now I'm in hot humble pie.
So when did all of this start for you? When did you say, you know, I got to do something with this? I have to use this experience to help someone else.
My grandmother actually reached out to me and she's like, when are you going to write that book? Because she had asked me when I was 18. And then I had found out that she was dying.
Oh.
And like my friend that's dying of cancer right now, it really shifted my modality into like, if I am not going to die, then what can I do to thrive? And not only what can I do to thrive, but what can I do to help my community? Because if I'm going to be here, I genuinely want to help the community around me and then the world around me. And I know that that's a big concept, but I have big dreams. And I don't play small. And, you know, there's been missions to try to kill me and get me out of this lifetime. So, you know, hey, third wasn't their charm, so I might as well keep going. And I have a saying, they tried to dig me 6 feet under. I came from 12, but they should have came from 20 feet. You know, I'm very powerful in my mind. And once I've got my mind set on something, it's like a target. And being a soldier, you know, we have our targets.
Yeah.
Either die or you thrive.
Right.
You know, and then unfortunately being a medic, I'm like, do I still want to save you? Oh, I guess I do.
So what was that like, being in the military as a woman?
To be very honest with you, in
Yeah, please,
1995,
that's why you're here.
it was very, very difficult. I was not wanted. When I led those 20,000 soldiers, I had men cheating. I had men coming up to my face wanting to fight me. I had people trying to take things from me. Then I was reelected. And so I had proved myself amongst 20,000 soldiers. And there was about 96 pregnant women that I found. They were single soldiers. So I brought them on. And then I want to say 100, because I believe I had 196 women total in over the 20,000. And when I went to Washington, D.C., I really wanted to create a modality where people could have a safe space to talk, because we don't have that.
Right.
And we also didn't have the 800 lines that they have now. So all of the stuff that has been created from Washington, D.C., I'm so proud of, because even 10th Group has changes in Colorado Springs. And when I went back 10 years later, there was buildings that were changed, memorandums that were changed. These are huge things that in the civilian side, it doesn't sound like much, but in the military world, it takes an act of Congress sometimes to get things changed in our world. And even paint, just to like, hey, maybe we shouldn't have lead-based paint because, you know, it causes problems. You know, so even the little things that people take for granted now, I wanted to help. I
But
wanted to do something.
it all comes down to the dollar.
Sure, but it was a cheap dollar. Doesn't take much to not use lead paint.
No. But what I'm saying is that, well, okay, then we got to make different kind of paint, so that's going to cost us more money, and they're going to fight that.
Sure,
You know
but
what I mean?
they also
and that's
didn't want
just
the
one
medical
example.
portion of it because they found out that there were so many medicinal problems
Yeah.
with it. And with that, the consequences of our system denied many soldiers the due diligence to help them. And
Right.
same thing with the burn pits going on. You know, I mean, let's talk about Agent Orange. Let's talk about when people were
Let's not.
Let's not say we did. You're absolutely right, huh? Just kidding. You know, I am into comedy. So, you know, there's different wars that have had different things, you know. And at one point, they said that I wasn't even Bosnia, Croatia, and Hungary. And I was like, well, that's funny because PFC Dougherty is leading this. Leading it right here.
It's only been the last 10 or 15 years that they even admitted that Agent Orange was a problem.
There's Agent Orange alive?
Yeah.
What?
I mean,
Right.
I was diagnosed with bladder cancer in 2018,
Right.
and it was 2021 before the VA said,
Correct.
"Oh yeah, that's because of the Agent
And that was
Orange."
a maybe.
Yeah.
They didn't even get
Right.
pushed in until 2023.
Right.
2024 was the biggest goal for burn pits, and they're still having issues. That my buddy Leroy Torres is the one that actually created for burn pits.
Well, the problem, part of the problem was that at the VA anyway, is that, okay, so this is now, you can get a benefit for this.
Sure.
So then they have, you know, with COVID, they were shorthanded anyway.
Sure.
And then you have this flood of, you know, with backlog of thousands and thousands of, you know, applications.
Right.
And, you know, they're trying to hire people. So, but, you know, they'll get there eventually. So
I hope so. At this point in time, you know, I really actually don't have that much hope for the VA.
let me tell you something. I get all my medical treatment from the VA here.
You do?
in Southern Nevada.
Is it good?
They are awesome.
Fair enough. This is not
and I know
something
that
I've heard.
Right, there are parts of the country that isn't that way. But
I mean, I was tortured for 4 months.
we're
in San
very,
Antonio.
very lucky.
That's great.
I like I said, they always make you feel like that. Hey, you know, thank you for your service. We're here to take care of you. Whatever we can do. I mean, they got signs up there when you go for an appointment. If you've been waiting 15 minutes past your appointment time, please come and let us know.
Well, that's good to hear because, like I said, I bet they're really, really trying really hard since 2014 to fix what they did. However, in San Antonio, Texas, I have many veterans that are actually coming to talk to me now that my book is out, and they're like, some of these things happened. I know, but that's just it. Text ass, even though it's the asshole of America, we still need to fix some problems, you know? We still need to fix the core issues that if the medical community isn't helping, we need to get them out and let our let the military veterans, let the veterans seek civilian help. And that's what my goal was in 2014.
We get that here, you know.
Now, but that wasn't there.
No,
it wasn't available in
the case.
2014 when I was writing.
No.
So when I became out public, the biggest thing I wanted to do, which now is available, however, 4 months of going through this, I was bedbound for almost 3.5 years from what had happened. Now, civilian care is available. 2014, I wasn't allowed to say anything, wasn't allowed to do anything. I was almost killed because of the things that I know. I kept quiet, even though they had said that I was saying things. There was just things that had happened that just were not kosher.
Right.
Hence the bedbound for 3.5 years. I spent 10 years of my life working very hard, very diligently to get our veterans this help that we're talking about right now.
Right.
And so when I think about have I made a difference in this world, I really feel I did. I really feel like my book has made a big difference.
Hey, if you can affect one person,
that's not enough for me. I'm greedy.
It's better than nothing.
It is true, but I'm really greedy.
And,
I want to help more.
And if that person can affect 2 other people,
very true,
and they can affect 2 other people,
sure. Like
you know the
physics.
old commercial, you know?
Yeah, 6 degrees from separation.
Yeah, But anyway, where are you going with all of this? What is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish?
Sure.
I mean, short term and long term.
So short term, I feel like I'm in the middle of writing these next 2 books, but I've also created a foundation where there's going to be a Watsu area, and I'm going to be flying up towards Canada in this specific area on a farm to give, long term, I want to give public speeches, different attention and different media postings and different modalities or different weekend seminars for women to get help, veterans to get help, firefighters, first responders, police, and firemen to basically have a bunch of weekend seminars as well to help our people, because sometimes a week is too long.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't want to talk about my stuff for a week, I'm
Yeah.
exhausted after talking a day.
Yeah.
So give people what they need and allow their children to also have what they need. So what I want to do is have a seminar for the adults, and then I want to have a seminar for the kids, and then I want the adults to celebrate their children,
Right.
and let their children really, really shine.
Do you have an online presence?
I do on some social medias, which are Facebook, Twitter, or now it's called X, Instagram, mostly under Mindy Dougherty or Water Gypsy without the vowels. So
Water Gypsy? I
WTR
like that.
GPSY, because I get in the water,
Yeah.
and I travel around the world. So
Okay.
I'm a gypsy and I'm in the water,
I gotcha.
amongst other labels that have.
So if people wanted to find out more about this, they could look for you on Facebook and at Mindy Dougherty.
Mindy
right?
Dougherty, yes.
Okay. And we'll have that on the screen. That's it. That's it.
Great.
So what else would you like to talk about here? Have you gotten your message out there? Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience?
I feel
This
like
is your chance.
I feel like I've gotten everything out. The Resilient Warrior is available on Barnes and Nobles as well as Amazon.com in over 17 countries. I'm writing A Wolf's Secret right now, and also writing my other adult book, which is getting through the traumas and breaking through the idealisms so that we can really heal from the inside out. And that's going to be called Trigger Warnings. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Oh, listen, that's why the station's here.
This has been great. Thank you.
And I appreciate you, coming all this way, all the way down from Bend, Oregon, right?
Yeah, Bend, Oregon.
Just to do this interview.
That's right.
That's it. No, that's not true.
Well, it is kind of true, but Clown Motel 3 is actually why I'm here. I want to give out some shout outs to the people that have been behind the scenes. Joseph Kelly's been really working really, really, really hard on this. And I think it's going to be a really good success with all the people that we have in this. Our castmates and crew have been really working hard, long hours. Clown Motel 3, horror film. Let's go.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming back all this time and watching the show. And, like I always say, if you're going to do it with styles.
Definitely do with styles.